Hello there, and welcome to Spoiler Peace Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I am a movie type watcher person, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the Is Pictures podcast. My pronouns are he, him.
And my name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write and podcast for In Session Film. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I, too, am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
Yowza.
Yowzas.
Yowza, I meant. Misspeaking yowza. Man, I must be tired. So this week on the show, we've got two new releases to talk to you about. But before we do that, we want to mention over on Ye Old Patreon, we are watching the 1985 Martin Scorsese, Griffin Dunne, Rosanna Arquette starring After Hours. It was a first watch for Megan. It was not a first watch for Evan. It was like your, how many watches? 47th? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
More like two.
It was two, yeah. And I saw this about 20 years ago or 25 years ago and didn't remember it. So we basically were all coming to it with fresh eyes, and we had a rather lively conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
hell of a time trying to summarize it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
hard to summarize. And so if you're feeling saucy, why don't you go check it out? You can become a patron for $5 a month and you get free bonus episodes. Free? No, you pay for them.
Yeah.
You get bonus episodes every month. And you also get to vote in polls. And we're going to have a poll coming up for next week. Yay. And before we get on to what the main menu is tonight, I want to say thank you to our sponsor piece Our sponsor piece Patreon, Heather Sachs. Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
What the hell?
Thank you, Heather.
Heather, I apologize for butchering your intro. That's inexcusable. So anyway, on this week's show, we've got two new movies. We have the black comedy / thriller No Other Choice, and we have the comedy drama Is This Thing On? The new Bradley Cooper directed, he's barely in it as an actor film. So we're going to start things off with not Is This Thing On, but with No Other Choice. This is a South Korean movie. This is Park Chan-wook's latest film, and it's based on the novel The Axe by Donald Westlake. And here is the one sentence IMDb summary. After being unemployed for several years, a man devises a unique plan to secure a new job. Eliminate his competition. Now, yes, eliminate, you can, use that in several ways.
Mm-hmm.
He chooses the death way.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even know. It's just so this movie is a black comedy because he does bump off three potential competitors for the same job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of pratfalls and talk of gender roles and what else do we have here? Kids stealing things with their friends and cello prodigy who won't play cello for her parents, who's on the spectrum, and that's a big plot point. And what else? Let's see.
They might have to sell their home, and they give their dogs away to live with his in-laws.
Right, the grandparents. Yeah, I was going to get into a little bit of summary because there's a lot of plot in this movie too. We were just talking about how it's hard to summarize After Hours. Well, this one's kind of hard to summarize too. It opens up with what's our main character's name?
Mansu?
Mansu, that's right. It opens up with him being laid off at this paper mill where he's been working for 25 years and he's relatively, high up the food chain as far as like guys who work on the floor. But it's been bought by an American company and they have cut 20% of the workers, and he rehearses this speech and he goes to give it to one of the Americans and he's like, sorry, this is what we're doing. Fuck you. And he gets in the limo.
Right. Yeah. He's, told his employees, like, I'm going to go to bat for you and I'm going to be willing to quit to make sure that you guys all have your jobs. And then, yeah, that happens too.
That happens. And he gets laid off too. So he says to his wife, okay, I'm going to find a new job by the end of is that the 3 months or the end of the year?
He says 3 months, and then it
3
turns
months.
into 13 months, I think is what the thing changes to.
Right. And so his wife, who is relatively practical, as it turns out, says, all right, we got to cut these things out. I'm going to stop my tennis lessons. We're going to stop going to our dance classes. Netflix is going away. And their son immediately gets up. He's like, there's one show I want to watch before you cut it off. And they keep up the daughter's cello lessons, only to find out later in the movie that she's such a prodigy that her cello teacher's like, I can't teach her anymore. She's too good. So you're going to have to get like an actual music professor. Yeah. And they're like, cling. And they're like, yeah, this could be a very significant, investment starting, around $50,000. And they're just like, because he's still unemployed at this time. She, meanwhile, has started working part-time as a dental hygienist. And then there's this job that he's interviewed for. I'm kind of jumping back a little bit. That a guy that he trained is going to be his supervisor, and this guy has gotten him the interview, and the interview goes badly, and just he's just doing all the wrong things. Yeah. Well, the sun's shining in his face, and they're asking him the kind of asshole questions that they ask you at corporate jobs.
What's your weakness? Like I fucking hate that question.
Weakness?
It's such a bullshit question that they ask in job interviews.
Yeah, I told somebody once that question was no good. I didn't get that job. I didn't say it was a bullshit question. But I said something to the effect of like, why do you guys ask that question? Like, so it was a journalism job. I was like, out of all the jobs, journalism is going to ask me what my weaknesses are. I fucking drink too much caffeine and stay up all night working on your fucking paper. Anyway, we're not talking about me. We're talking about no other choice. To make a long story longer, he decides, all right, here are these guys, I'm going to find out who my competition is. I'm going to create a fake company, say there's this job available. I'm going to look at the applicants, see who are the most qualified, who are the ones who are more qualified than I am, and I'm going to bump them off.
Yep.
And that turns into the next hour and a half of him being a complete fucking idiot.
Right.
He kills one guy because he shoots him accidentally, and then the guy's wife finishes him off because she's so angry at him because he's a drunk asshole. That's a rather simplistic dumbing down of it.
She's been cheating on him too.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. The second guy, he kidnaps from the side of the road. The guy is selling shoes, and I felt really bad for this guy.
Yeah, right.
Because the drunk guy, it's just like, all right, it's kind of a farce, whatever.
I felt bad for him too, though. Weirdly.
I felt bad for him in the sense that, you shouldn't fucking shoot people.
Yeah,
and if your wife hates you that much, good Lord. But the second guy, though, who's like being so earnest about, oh, I'm working in a shoe store, and, he just gave his daughter money to, like, they make a point of like, this is his daughter. He's giving her money so she can go out with her friends. Mm-hmm. And then, Sue makes up this whole thing about like, oh, I need to buy shoes for my daughter because she's a cellist, and she can't go to auditions in rain boots, and that's the only stuff she has right now. And then he lies and says he's going to pick her up, and he uses it as this elaborate thing to catch the guy as he's driving home from work, which he does. Shoots it, that goes poorly. Shoots the guy, gets lucky, getting the guy a fatal shot. Puts him in the trunk, and then has to go home and doesn't have time to dispose of him at first. Right. Digs this hole and falls asleep in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, meanwhile, his son was robbing a store that night, like a friend's, a friend's store, and him and his son, him and his friend robbed the store. It belongs to like one of the other kids' dads, and then he gets caught, and like. The police come, and Sue thinks they're coming for him, so he's like, I'll explain down at the station. And they're like, what are you talking about? We're here to arrest your son. So he has to drive to the police station with his wife and daughter with this body in the trunk, just constantly worried that someone's going to discover it in the meantime.
Yeah. And then he's going to cut up the body in his greenhouse later, but he can't do it. He's just like, he's on the verge of vomiting. He does throw up with some of the other, I can't remember if he throws up with the third. He pukes a lot.
Right, but the son sees him like going to cut up the body because he's like sneaking
Right.
out.
But he sees him when he's got the body all folded up and is roughly the size of a large pig. So he buries the body in the yard, and then he tells the son, or tells his wife, and the wife tells the son, oh no, that's right. She digs it up and she finds out it's a body, and she tells their son it was a pig.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then says to him, like, if you're in it, I'm in it with you. I was like, damn, standing by your man.
Like, I don't know if that's like love or like
delusion.
You're secretly evil or delusion. Yeah. But I mean, you do get the sense that by the end of this movie, when everything does actually go according to plan and they have their perfect life again, that everything is just completely fucked. Nothing's ever going to be the same again. The look on her face is just like, I'm married to a fucking guy who murders people. What the shit is this?
Yeah.
At the same time, there is something to be said about corporate greed and malfeasance. But
of course, this is a statement on that in the system. But also, but she's married. Not only is she married to a murderer, she is married to an alcoholic who has just fallen off the wagon and who is a liar, because she says to her daughter, why do all the men in this family lie all the time? So she clearly doesn't think very highly or positively of him. And so so even if she is standing by him, she's in for a world of, pain.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to watch her go from being, oh, my husband's the best, and then he'll get back on his feet, and then just realize he's sinking into this quagmire from which he's never going to recover. And she's decided to go down with him. Yeah. Now, yoicks. Yoicks in a way, as Daffy Duck would say. So, and that rhymed too. The third guy that he kills in the most elaborate, I was actually kind of, I don't want to say impressed, but based on how he, really fucked up the first killing, barely got away with the second killing, and then he really thought out the third one, and he made it look like the guy drank himself to death, and then drank himself into a stupor, and then vomited on while he was passed out and suffocated. And I gotta say it, he might be able to pull that one off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and then he gets the job, and then he does the job correctly, and everything seems like it's fine. And I don't know if at that point he even believes everything's going to be okay again, but they have to pretend that everything's going to be okay again because their daughter, like the one thing she finally starts like letting them, there's a whole thing throughout the movie that she plays cello all the time. All she does is practice. It's really the only thing she can do. And they want her because she's on the spectrum and she doesn't really, she only like quotes people, things that they've said. They're like, if we can get her a career in music, she'll be able to live independently. But we don't know. I mean, we hear her from the other room, but anytime we go to listen to her, she stops playing. And then she starts playing again, and mom opens the door, and the daughter looks right at her, and she keeps playing. And, mom's like, oh my God, she's playing. So now they have to keep up this whole facade. Yes, I know it's facade. This whole facade because now the daughter is playing cello and everything's going right for her. I mean, it's fucking crazy. These fucking people.
And they get the dogs back.
They got the dogs back, God. Who start digging up the bodies.
And don't forget, at the company, it's all automated.
Automated,
right.
That's
right.
right.
He finally gets the job, and he's one guy who controls walks through an entire automated factory by himself.
Yeah. It's really it's depressing on so many levels. So, Megan, lay it on me. What do you think of No Other Choice?
So I really, really love Park Chan-wook's The Handmaiden. I think it's incredible. I love Decision to Leave too. I think that's also incredible. This I liked on a more conceptual and intellectual level than I did actually watching this. I think it's got intriguing ideas, and the whole notion that he's at his wit's end and he's gonna murder his competitors. It's a great concept, and I feel like I should have liked this a lot more. And I know I'm an outlier because I know people are gushing over this. People are loving this. And for me, I just was not that engaged with it, unfortunately. And I feel like I should be because it is such a scathing commentary on corporatism and the sham that is capitalism and the dehumanization of workers and exploitation of workers and class and like all of these really heavy issues and societal norms. And I'm sure there are a whole host of other commentaries on society in South Korea that I'm not privy to, being not a South Korean person. But yeah, and I think the performances are good. I think the visuals are good. But something about this, I just could not really get into. And so for me, this did not work. But I think it's a well-made movie, and I love what it has to say about capitalism. And I also love the marketing that they sent letters. They sent a letter out inviting CEOs to watch this movie. I mean, that's brilliant.
That's
I love it.
Amazing.
It's great. It's so great. It's great. So yeah. And I think it is a really scathing ending, and so I like those things. Like I said, on a conceptual level, on a visceral level, it just didn't work for me, unfortunately.
I buy that. I see that. I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Evan, do you hear what Megan hears?
I do. So, I mean, I'll start by saying, as someone who was actually laid off this year, this movie hit very close to home for me. And in a very uncomfortable way that I had to sit with while I was watching it. And while I, like you, Megan, also really love it conceptually, I think it's just way too long and way too slow, with like what feels like nothing going on in the middle, and all the really interesting stuff is like at the beginning and the end. Like, I love that the movie opens with this like really sun-soaked barbecue where he's like reveling in, oh, I have it all, my family, beautiful home, got this great eel that I'm barbecuing, life's good, and then it all comes crashing down. And I just feel like he just spends too much time just kind of like dicking around in the middle of the movie before we get to like the really interesting stuff later in the movie, where it's like he's killed the people, it seems like he's going to get away with it, and like he finally gets the job, and then it's, this a glorified person just walking around an empty factory all by himself with like machines running on all sides of him, and he's like so thrilled about it, but it's just like the saddest, most pathetic thing that he's worked for. And like during the interview, they're like, oh, we're reducing the workforce, are you going to be okay with that? He's like, yes sirree, I am. And it's just like, it's such a great commentary on where he started in the beginning of the film and where he's ended up, and how he's just kind of like, I'm just gonna do whatever because I need this job. And like his dedication to the paper industry, like those conversations are really interesting. Like there's the drunk husband and wife, he's snooping in the woods and he overhears their conversation. She's like, my dad could have given you a cafe. Why didn't you just do that instead of working in the paper industry? Like, why don't you do something else? And he's like, I can't. I don't have any other, there's no other choice for me. Like, paper has fed me for 25 years or whatever it was. Like, I can't do anything else. And it's like, he has that exact same conversation. Sue has the exact same conversation with his wife, literally almost verbatim. And you just see that kind of like theme throughout the movie. This, they say there's no other choice, and the in that job interview, they're like, oh, we gotta automate. There's just no other choice, and all that I found really, really fascinating. But the middle of the movie was just such a slog, and it just made me really sad because it is, as you said, Megan, a well-crafted movie in that like. It might be the best looking movie I've seen all year in terms of cinematography. Like, gorgeous visuals, really creative shot choices. And I found all that super compelling. But it just didn't work for me as much as I wanted it to.
Interesting.
Yeah, I will say it is a really, I really appreciate how it's such a great commentary on the system and the failure of it as a system rather than an individualistic problem. But yeah, I feel very similarly to you, Evan. Yeah. So Dave, what about you?
I mean, I'm pretty much in the same place you two are.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the length per se. Although, yes, it could have been shorter. And I do agree with you, Evan. The whole section between when he first decides to go through with this plan and when he actually kills the first person, that must be 45 minutes.
It's too long.
It's so long.
Yeah.
And we get it. It's going to be difficult. He's a fuck up, whatever. I mean, they make the point pretty early on. You know, it's not, I think if you're like a savvy viewer, and I think that most viewers who would watch a film such as this, if they're not South Korean, if they're, say, American, they probably are savvy film goers. So they're going to be watching this and they're kind of going to know what the beats are for a story like this, because I think that the idea, like you were saying, Megan, I like all of the ideas behind the taking down, capitalism and all that stuff. But the actual beats of the story, I think don't really, they're kind of like, 2-star shit. And the idea is like 3.5, 4-star shit. You know what I mean? Like the story just doesn't match up with its ideals. I also do agree, Evan, that it is a really good looking movie. I don't love all the trick shot choices, because some of them are just way too on the nose for me. But like the whole, like the glass point of, his mouth's point of view as he's drinking the first beer in 9 years or whatever it is when he's doing that bomb shot. It's just like, yeah, we get it. He's.
I did like that shot though. I think that is a good one.
Really?
Yeah. It's not the most innovative. I have seen that before, but I did like it. Yeah.
Well, I also thought some of the shots like that kind of got in the way of the storytelling too. I mean, some of it. Well, you've made this choice. The visual palette. There's a lot of color in this movie, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Vibrant color.
It's vibrant. Yeah, exactly. And certain colors kind of mean certain things, and you see them over and over, and it all kind of works. But then I felt like, they took like one step farther in the innovation, and the only shot I can think of off the top of my head is the glass, the Stein point of view shot. But that sort of thing just kind of took me out of it. At the same time, though, I wasn't really reading the subtitles in this, and I was still able to follow this completely. So I sort of feel like if I'm watching a movie that's not in a language I speak and I can follow it, it's either really great or it's not very good. You know what I mean? It's like, if it's really great, it's really visual storytelling. You can follow it. You're compelled. And in this, I'm just kind of like, well, I just kind of feel like I know where this is going. So I don't really think I have to read the subtitles, I also think the third guy that he kills, the Instagram guy.
No.
Why do you let some fucking dude standing outside? He even makes a joke. Oh, are you stalking me? He's like, yes, he is stalking you. I mean, I know that you don't know that, and it would never occur to you that somebody would kill you over a management job. But apparently you never saw Swimming with Sharks. So, there we go. I mean, it's okay. It's not it. I think I'm very much on the same page you two are, It's just like, it's fine. Whatever.
The one thing I will say is that I've said this before about other films this year. I am kind of loving the growing pantheon of mediocre men in this year's crop of films, like this one, like One Battle After Another, like Josh O'Connor in The Mastermind. So,
well, it's interesting that you say that, Megan, because I was thinking, in particular when he's trying to kill the first guy, but through all the murders, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if this guy is actually as good, and is obviously he's not indispensable, but if he's actually as good at his job as he thinks he was. Because now I don't pretend to, well, one, I don't want to kill anybody, but two, I don't pretend that it's easy if it's not like,
Totally.
you know. But at the same time, he's so bumbling, and he's almost like the Inspector Clouseau of unemployed guys who are going to kill off his competition.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Just a complete fuck up.
Mhm.
I mean, the first person dies because his wife kills him off. And I did love it when she's like, "You're going to die from the second shot." That really made me
That
laugh.
whole scene was incredible. The way the guy
Yes.
was sitting there with the loud music on and he's pointing the gun and they're like yelling at each other, but you can't hear any of what they're saying. And then
Yes.
the wife comes in behind him and is standing behind him and is going to like hit him over the head, you know, and take the gun. But then she like pauses and is like, then they're all three of them are fighting for that whole sequence was just
Mhm.
totally bonkers. But to your point, Dave, he did win 2019's Pulp Man of the Year, so that's something
That's
that he
true.
reiterates many times.
Yeah.
Which was 6 years
Yeah.
prior, or 5 if we're talking about that he's been,
Yeah,
you know, unemployed
That
for
was-
a year.
that's his example of how good he was as a job. He
Right.
won Pulp Man of the Year.
Right. But no, but I think you're onto something, Dave, because
Mhm.
as far as him, is he as good as he thinks he is? Because he even says in the second interview, the one with the light shining in his face, or maybe that's the first interview, the one with the light shining in his face, and he's like laughing maniacally and talking about how he's so confident. And I'm like, oh my
And
God,
rambling.
you're an idiot.
Oh my God, rambling. Yeah.
No, but I'm like,
Mhm.
there's no way in
Cringe.
hell that you are as good as you think you are. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
But he
I've
certainly does
definitely-
get better by the last murder.
it's
The
true.
last murder's pretty clean,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So,
So he does improve.
mean-
I'll give him that.
yeah. I also think it was an interesting choice that the first victim's wife just silently went along with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even with her telling, I mean, I was just like, wow, that is fucking dark.
Well, and she came up with that whole murder plot too. She told the cops that, you know, he was feuding with the second victim.
Yeah.
And that's why they like, you know, killed each other /
Right, because there was
disappeared.
that picture of them together at that
Right.
event. That's
Yeah.
right.
I thought that was
Yeah.
like pretty fucking maniacal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when she picks out, like when she's going through the handguns, I'm like, what is she going to do here? And she
Mhm.
lands on the North Korean gun. I was like, oh boy, she's really gone to the dark side. Yeah. So I'm
Mhm.
not sure I blame her, but you know, whatever. Yeah. So there's bits of this that work really well.
Yes,
Like that
agreed.
part where she's weaving herself into the larger narrative and therefore
Mhm.
exonerates, you know, Sue from his part of it.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that overall, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Evan, that kind of madcap, chaotic scene where they're all reaching for the gun. That's great too. And
Yeah, that was good.
also one other thing I liked about that scene, in that the music is so loud. I love that Mansu says at one point, he's like, "Oh, my throat is sore because I'm yelling so loudly."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was humorous.
That made me
I was
laugh
like,
too.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, that's a nice touch. I like that.
All right, gang. Do we have any closing thoughts on No Other Choice, or are we good?
Hmm.
I mean, if you don't, you don't. You know, it's cool.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then, let's move along to our last movie of the night. We got the new Bradley Cooper directed and co-written Is This Thing On? So this is directed by Bradley Cooper. It has a screenplay by Bradley Cooper, Will Arnett, and Mark Chappell, with a story by John Bishop and Will Arnett and Mark Chappell. John Bishop is a stand-up comedian, and this is similar-ish to something that happened in his life. And basically, well, let me give you the one-sentence IMDb. As their marriage unravels, Alex faces middle age and divorce, seeking new purpose in the New York City comedy scene. Meanwhile, his wife Tess confronts sacrifices made for their family, forcing them to navigate co-parenting and identities. Yeah, so this is a 2-hour and 4-minute movie, and it's got all of these overgrown children in roles as adults. And
Coming in hot.
Mhm.
yeah, I shouldn't tip my hand that early. But the movie basically opens up, they're at a party, and all the spouses who are there, except for the gay couple, hate each other. and Will Arnett, and for some reason I keep thinking this is Christina Applegate, which is just so wrong. Laura Dern is Will Arnett's wife, Tess, and she used to be an Olympian. She was an Olympic volleyball player.
Mm-hmm.
And they go home and she's just brushing her teeth and he's getting out of the shower and she just says, "Should we call it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then the next thing you know, he's in the city in an apartment downtown and he's trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, "I want to go get a drink." And so he goes over to, I can't remember what the name of the restaurant is above the Comedy Cellar in New York, the Olive Tree or something like that. But he tries to get in. The guy's like, "Nah, you can't
$15
come
cover.
and get a drink." $15 cover, or you can put your name on the list. And he's like, "My name on the list?" He's like, "Yeah, to get on, to go down
Open mic.
It's open mic night." It's like, oh, so he puts his name on the list and has his drink, and then he goes down and does his 5 minutes, which are not funny. But the first time, I think pretty much anybody does stand up, even if you're maybe a super famous stand up. I'll bet you Gary Goldman's first 5 minutes were terrible.
Yeah, they say everybody bombs and you have to bomb a lot. Actually, I'm surprised he gets laughs during his. He just gets up there and he just is venting about his life, but doing it in a very like self-deprecating kind of way. And
Yeah.
people actually laugh and respond to it, even though it's not like he's not like killing it up there, but
Right.
he gets like
Well,
a surprising sense of like, wow, that went a lot better than I expected it to.
Yeah. Well, I think he's also, well, there are two things about that. I like the idea of I like the idea of somebody falling apart for my pleasure, which is what it seems like he's doing on stage from a comedian's point of view. I mean, I don't mean from like life. And so the other thing is, I think he really doesn't seem like he gives a shit. He's just like, all right, I did that thing. And, he's just so lost that he's just like, meh. Because yes, the other comics have to tell him to stay and support the other comics who are going up. He's like, oh, okay. And then he meets some comics and, and then things go on and there's a minivan and he's a bad dad. I'm sorry. Okay, I really didn't like this, so I don't really want to summarize it. I'm sorry. I
just was surprised at that comment. That's all.
Which comment that I came in hot with?
The second time you came in hot, but yeah. The minivan, and he's a bad dad.
He's not a bad dad.
No,
you
could think that. I just thought it was funny because I was surprised by it.
I'm kind of actually surprised that he's doing... Now, I don't know what they're like when they're not on screen, but when he's, he leaves his joke book. He finally decides he's going to, at some point during his second time he goes up or third time he goes up, he starts to feel like, oh, I like this. I don't really know if I'm any good, but I like this. And I actually love it when one of the comedians says, it's like, I mean, you're still bad, but you're getting better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got these jokes he's working on. I was so pissed off that he didn't tell this joke. Like he kind of does in that set where he yells out to the other comedian that he sleeps with, Jill. Was that her name? He asks her something and she says,
"Oh, like what's in the joke book?" Yeah, and you have a small penis.
The only thing I see here is I have a small penis. Yeah. And I thought it was funny when he said, if I had a small penis, I don't think I'd need to write a note to myself about it.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah. But then he had been working on a joke in his apartment about how men have convinced women that dad bods are sexy. And I'm like, this is a decent premise. Let's explore that. And he kind of goes into it then he abandons it. And I was like, all right, well, fuck ever. Because the point's not really the comedy, but him finding himself and then Laura Dern finding herself. She starts dating. She doesn't date Peyton Manning. This guy played by Peyton Manning is a volleyball coach on the collegiate level, I think it is. I don't remember where, but she's interviewing for a job for a women's college volleyball team. And turns out he's divorced. She's just split up. They decide to go to the Comedy Cellar to do that. And in coincidence of coincidences, it's one of the nights that Will Arnett is going up and he's doing his whole act is about her. I mean, what are the chances?
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and then they sleep together that night because she thinks it's hot that he was talking about her on stage, and she finds out that he boned this other comedian, and she's kind of pissed off about that, but she sort of lets it go, or she tries to let it go. And then the movie goes on, and Bradley Cooper is going to leave his wife because he and his wife hate each other, but then they have a conversation off screen, and he says everything's fixed. And then he tells Will Arnett at some point, "You were always the funniest guy in the room." And I love it when people explain their characters to me with one sentence. And then he and Laura Dern get back together, and everything's hunky-dory. And she takes the blame for everything. I forgot that.
I don't think she takes the blame for everything.
She takes a lot of it, I feel like. When they're having that conversation when they all go away for the weekend. I thought she took more than was fair. Let me put it that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Where he just kind of sits there and he's like,
I mean, yes.
I get the feeling you liked this more than I did.
I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think that I had a different read. That's all I'm saying. And that I think that paired with the very end of the film, well, not the very end, not the final scene, but the climax where he's at their door and he's like, "I wasn't ever unhappy with you. I was unhappy with myself." And he, says that and apologizes. So yeah, I think in conjunction, I don't think she's taking responsibility for everything. But I hear what you're saying.
I'm speaking hyperbolically.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware. So, fair enough, though.
I do think during that conversation, she does most of the talking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And it does come out that she has that whole spiel about, when she gave up volleyball. I mean, I kind of didn't realize that she was so advanced until I saw the poster that he had framed. I'm like, oh, she's got the USA jersey on. So this is that's the Olympics. And then they finally say, it's like, you were on the Olympic team. And it's like, oh, she really did give up a lot. I can see why she would be resentful, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, Evan, what do you think?
I went into this with fairly low expectations, and I have to say I actually really liked it a lot. I think a lot of that has to do with the lead performances. I really liked Will Arnett in this. I really liked Laura Dern. I think they had really terrific chemistry together. And I really felt it when they were starting to rekindle their spark and to feel what they maybe felt earlier in the relationship toward each other. Particularly Laura Dern, there was this moment where he's picking her up from volleyball or whatever it is she's doing, and she looks back at him and is just beaming. And it was so palpable to me, the chemistry and the feelings there. And so I think that was a lot of what I was really responding to in this movie, is really good lead performances and really good chemistry between them. They felt believable to me as people who once were maybe madly in love and then fell out of love, grew apart. But was realizing that a lot of that had to do with the fact that they just made choices and become other people by kind of shutting off or shutting down parts of themselves that really were working. And so when he's doing the stand-up and she finds that hot and they go back and have sex and they're having this secret relationship, that to me all was very funny. It's that
was kind of funny.
Tell anybody that they're back together, even when they're with their friends. They're sneaking around and he's sneaking up to her room at night and all that. So I like this a lot. Bradley Cooper, he plays such a dink in this movie. And first, I was he was almost unrecognizable when he shows up. The first thing we see is him. He trips and falls and just spills milk all over the place or something like that. And you're like, who's this schmuck? I was like, oh, okay, it's Bradley Cooper. So I don't know if I loved him in this, but I was at least grateful that his character was in it minimally. I liked his directing in this, though. I think he directed a really solid, dramedy. And I think that is him just kind of getting out of the way and not doing a lot of fancy shot choices or anything too crazy in terms of editing or style, and just kind of sitting back and letting the characters breathe and letting the story just kind of move along. Because I think the story is interesting enough on its own. Like, how often do people break up in such a way and then find their way back to each other in such an interesting way? And Megan, you were talking about it before, that kind of like last scene where he shows up on her doorstep. I love that he says, I was unhappy in our marriage. I wasn't unhappy with our marriage. And I thought that was just like a really funny line. It was, I think, indicative of the rapport that they had with each other. They could be very funny while also, telling truth to each other. And the stand-up was actually funny. I think that's anytime I'm watching something about stand-up, I'm always like very wary about it, because it's almost like watching improv comedy, which is like most often it just sucks. It's not funny. And so when you see other people doing, movies and TV about stand-up, you're just like, okay, is it going to be like improv, or is it actually going to be like legit funny? And I thought he was legitimately funny on stage. And as an actor and a character, we know he's a comedian, so we know he can do it, but like he can do it in this movie, and it does work the times he's up on stage. Like the small penis thing that you guys were saying earlier, that worked really well.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the what was it, like the surfer radiologist story that he's concocting about, like, in his mind, like the new hot cool guy that his wife is going to be, his ex-wife is going to be, that whole thing I thought was very, very funny too.
Interesting. Megan.
Yeah, so surprise, I did like this. I did not love this, but I did like it for a lot of the reasons that you're saying, Evan. I think mainly I liked it for Will Arnett and Laura Dern. And I think one of the really great things that this film does, that Bradley Cooper does as a director, and oh my God, I totally just forgot what's his face is the cinematographer, that Matthew Libatique. I think one of the smart things that they both do in conjunction is focusing on Laura Dern's face when Alex is doing his stand-up and she's there. And because watching her face and her reaction and her range of emotions and the complexity within those reactions, I think is really fascinating. And I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed, I wish I could have heard his stand-up, but I was very glad to see a quick shot of Dave Attell. I was like,
I know.
I was so excited, but I was like, oh, I feel we were cheated. I wanted to hear Dave Attell.
I was like, this is a movie about New York stand-up. We got to see Dave Attell.
I know, right?
We saw him even for 2 seconds.
You need to show someone in the trenches, and that's Dave Attell. Yeah, so I liked that. I like Bradley Cooper as a filmmaker. I love A Star Is Born. I could watch that all the time. And I like Maestro. It's got issues, but I like it. And I feel similarly here. Like, this has got issues. This is not, like, Dave, to your point, this is not a flawless film by any means. But I just didn't, for me personally, I didn't think it was as egregiously awful, horrible. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it wasn't egregious to me. It wasn't terrible. What I will say though, and I like the concept, I like the idea of trying something that's very out of your comfort zone and finding yourself along the way. And I think Dave, you had said, like, he's really, when he's doing the stand-up, he just doesn't give a shit about the reaction or anything. And I like that. And
it's an interesting choice.
Yeah. And I also I appreciate that he takes it seriously. Like, when he is told, you got to write your jokes, you got to write down all your material, you got to constantly be writing. He takes that seriously. He gets a notebook and he starts writing, and he does take it seriously. And when the other comedians tell him, you got to constantly be going to different shows, he does. He starts going, because at first he's only going to that one at the Comedy Cellar. And then he starts going to open mic nights elsewhere. And I really like that. I like that he's taking this seriously and kind of evolving as an artist and performer. And I like that the film very easily could have just focused on him and his journey, and that would have been fine. But I like that it also focuses on Tess's journey as well, and her very real grudges and her anger and her frustrations and all of that. And it makes so much sense. I don't know if I needed the dumb friends. Like, I don't know if I needed Bradley Cooper being obnoxious. I don't know, as much as I like Andra Day, I don't know if I needed her being obnoxious too. I didn't like their characters, and I don't think they really added much. To me, they actually kind of detracted. But what I will say about this film is that I like Bradley Cooper so much as a filmmaker, and I love Will Arnett. I think Will Arnett is so underrated, especially after the phenomenal, and I am not using that lightly, the phenomenal performance he gives in BoJack Horseman. His voice acting is impeccable. It's incredible. The things he does, he goes to these unbelievable emotional places with that performance. And so I know how good he can be. And I know how good of a filmmaker Bradley Cooper can be. And yet I don't feel like it's at their peak level here. So I think this is good. Like, I liked it. It was enjoyable. But is this the most memorable or impactful film? No, not at all. And I know they both can do better. So I think for me, I was like, yeah, that was a film. That was an enjoyable, it was fine time. But I like some of the choices, but I wish it had really blown me away in the way that I know it could have. But Dave, I'm dying to know, I think we're all dying to know what your full thoughts on this.
Well, Evan, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I did not think the stand-up was funny. It like largely, I mean, those couple of bits that I mentioned when he says, if I had a small penis, I wouldn't have to write it down. That was a good line.
Mhm.
I thought there were some good lines here and there. And I know that the point, especially at the beginning, is not necessarily that he's a good comic. And I think it's a really smart choice of Bradley Cooper, the director, to keep the camera on Will Arnett's face almost the entire time he's on stage throughout the movie, except for that time when Tess is in the audience at the Comedy Cellar, and it stays so much on her. But every other time he's on stage, it rarely leaves him, which I think is just a smart way to say, who gives a shit what the audience says? This is his journey.
Yes.
You know? So
great point, Dave.
Oh, thank you. I just, like you, Evan, I'm always wary of movies where stand-up is a big component, because there are movies where you're just watching it and you're like, this is supposed to be funny? Like, what the fuck? Now, here's the thing. I don't think this stand-up was like bad. It was not like I was groaning like, these fucking jokes suck. It's just like, this is just, I just don't think this is funny. I mean, I've been to comedy shows before where you feel bad for the person on stage. I did not feel that for Will Arnett. I was more like, oh, he's learning. I think that it's not really a problem with the movie. It's and it's not really a problem with me. It's just like, I'm kind of tired of watching upper middle class white people hash out their problems on screen.
Oh, that's fair.
And it's just like, I don't think that I would have liked a movie with Bradley Cooper's character or Andra Day's character, like, because they were both insufferable on screen, I thought. Like, his character, every time he opened his mouth, I just wanted to punch him in the face. I was just like, I know that you're supposed to be stoned all the time, but I've met people who are stoned all the time and they don't act like that. You know, just, you can't be in that much of a fog all the time. Anyway, and I think that this is pretty well directed. I do think that Bradley Cooper is a good director. I think that Maestro didn't really work for me just because it was so directed to hell and back. It was just, I mean, this is kind of like the anti-Maestro.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when, like, the first couple of scenes of Maestro, I'm watching this, I'm like, this is a movie that was made for award season. You know, whether that was a conscious choice of his or not. I think Bradley Cooper is so earnest in his love of film and drama and filmmaking. He was just probably like, and then we're going to put the camera in there. It's going to be fucking huge. And it's going to be awesome and we're going to love it. And that was just like, he was just excited. You know, I don't think he's sitting there thinking to himself, I could win an Oscar for this. I think he's thinking, it'd be so awesome if the camera swooped right here. It'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
And I think that you can see that here in a more grounded way that works for this material. Like I said, sticking to Will Arnett, like a lot of handheld camera work in this movie. I think the bulk of it is handheld. I'm not really sure. I would have to watch it again, and I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not. I'm not going to say that I hated it. I just like watching it and thinking to myself, when is Bradley Cooper going to make a movie that I actually like?
Oh.
So now I have not seen A Star Is Born, and I don't really want to. So, I mean, that was a conscious choice to not see that movie. Maestro, I was like, oh, Leonard Bernstein, yeah, that could be fun. But this one, yeah, it just doesn't. It's not like it's bad. It just doesn't work for me almost at all. There are a few things that do, and I will agree with you both, though, that I think Will Arnett is fantastic in this, and I do think he is underrated generally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never quite understood how he didn't catch on to a more mainstream kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows who he is, and every time anybody sees him, like, oh, Will Arnett, I love Will Arnett, and then like, where the fuck is Will Arnett? You know, and I think that Laura Dern is good too. I just think that her character is, you know, if he's 2.5 dimensions, she's 2 dimensions. You know what I mean? So it's just, I mean the character. I don't mean her performance. I just
No.
I don't know. I also don't think people who are as educated as they are would use the word fuck as often as they do, but I use the word fuck a lot, and I'm educated.
I was like, I'm educated and I use fuck constantly.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Dave.
Yeah,
but
right? We've all been to grad school and we use fuck constantly.
I know, but when you are watching a 2-hour movie and like you hear it so much that you almost feel like you're watching an Eddie Murphy movie from the 80s, it's like, that's a lot of fucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not even that it bothers me. It's just more like, now I'm thinking about it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, if you're thinking about it, it's taking you out for better or for
Right.
worse. Yeah. Taking you out of the movie. So,
right. So
But there is
maybe I should just like smoke some weed or take some, you know, Ambien before I watch my next movie and just see, like, maybe if I just chilled out a little bit.
where's the fun in
I wouldn't
that?
be. Yeah. Yeah, go see 2001, like after you just like had some really good edibles. That'd probably be great. Anyway. Yeah. So, do we have any closing thoughts on Is This Thing On?
Oh, 2 things. One, I really love the chaotic nature of the scene where he has to explain to his parents that he is dropping his kids off with them because he has to go do a stand-up gig. And just all of the chaos of those moments where like the kids are sitting down to dinner and they're like, sit down, have a bite. He's like, I can't, I gotta go. They're like, just a little bit, but I can't, I gotta go. I gotta do this thing. And I really like the scene before that when the kids find the joke book and they're talking and the one kid gets really sad and he has to go like hug his son. That just hit really close to home for me as a dad. I was like, oh, little guy, you need a hug. Like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't understand why he's telling like these things about them. It's like, it's not bad stuff, kid, but you don't know that because you're 10. So
yeah.
It's hard when you know that this thing that's happening is not an objectively bad thing. It's just that it works on a completely different level for you because you haven't lived a full life yet.
Right.
You know?
Totally. Yeah. And then in the scene at the parents' house, the dad's like, could you just have a regular midlife crisis and like buy a motorcycle or something? This is how you're gonna do it. That was also very funny.
That's right. Oh, I also liked his dad was Kieran Hines.
Yes, I love
Kieran
like, Hines.
He's playing a non-Irishman. All right, you know. So what I like him. So it was just fun to see him on screen. I also didn't realize he was old enough to play Will Arnett's dad, which he is. So that's basically that means I'm old too, which is what I'm saying, everybody.
I thought he was still playing an Irishman.
Yeah, he still had an accent.
Did I their last name is Novak, so I just assumed he was not Irish. I don't know.
Yeah, because the mom says something about him having been like coming from Ireland or living in Ireland or something.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
No, but you're right.
Shows what I know.
No, but that is interesting that the name is Novak. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. Well,
both things are true.
Yeah.
But I
anyway,
but I agree with you that Kieran Hines is great.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so let's recap. I don't want to speak for the two of you on No Other Choice because I feel like those are some wide-ranging opinions we all had about that movie. So Megan, can you recommend No Other Choice?
I'm not going to not recommend it because it is a well-made movie. And I think because, again, I feel like all three of us are kind of outliers. So I feel like maybe you need to check it out just, because it's in the conversation, the discourse, like especially if you like award season. But personally, no, it didn't work for me. So I think I would say that like it's a well-made movie, but it doesn't work for me. That's my kind of caveat.
Yeah. That's become a way I describe a lot of movies that I don't like that other people do.
Yeah.
Evan, what about you? How about No Other Choice for you?
Yeah, I would say I'm on a similar page to Megan. It's definitely your mileage may vary, which I think to your point, Megan, it's if you're interested in award season movies, you should probably see it. Or if you really like Park Chan-wook, then I think then it's worth a look for you. But if you're just like John Q moviegoer, no. I don't think that's
it's not like how everybody saw Parasite like 5 years ago or whatever.
Right.
I don't feel like this is, the foreign language film that everybody's going to see.
Yeah, it's not essential in the same way to me anyway.
Yeah. Right. I feel the same way you two do. It's like, I mean, if this movie is your kind of bent, then sure. But as Evan said, your mileage may vary. So, okay. Is this thing on? As you both know, I cannot recommend this because that's just how I am. But Evan, what did you think?
I would recommend this. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
And much similarly to my first reaction, I would say your mileage may vary because I think there are really good facets to this. But to me, I was just like, yeah, I like this, but it's just okay. So it's a tepid recommendation, I guess.
Okay.
Or your mileage may vary. I don't know.
I like tepid recommendation.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, that is Spoiler Piece Theater for this week. We just told you what we thought of the movies. Want to thank our editor, Otto Clamor. Editor? Otto, thank you for doing all the editing for us each week. It's great. Thank you so much for making us sound wonderful.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. Our website is spoilerpiece.com. On social media, we're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook, and we're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you would like to get in touch with us and tell me that, yes, I am actually correct about is this thing on, you can email us at spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can also email and say that Evan and Megan are right too, and it's a lot of fun. You should see it probably.
Yeah, or you can just email us about whatever you want.
That's true. You could do that too. I mean, you don't have to do it specifically about the movies we saw this week.
Right.
If you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece, or you can rate us directly on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Every time we get a 5-star rating, our profile gets boosted.
An angel gets its wings.
That's right. An angel gets its wings. Or it breaks them off. I can't remember. If you really, really like the show, please consider joining our Patreon. As I said at the top of the show, we watched Martin Scorsese's 1985 comedy After Hours. And we had a fun conversation about the movie that we were all just like, oh, this movie is not what we thought it was going to be. And that, as they say, is that. My name is Dave Riedel. I yap about movies. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm Dave Sees Movies on everything but Twitter, because I'm not on Twitter. And I'm David M. Riedel on Blue Sky because I just thought that was a good idea, but it wasn't. Anyway.
My name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of Your 80s Movie Guide, Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And my name is Megan Kearns. I write and podcast for In Session Film. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I, too, am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at OpinionS World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.